The last dev stream, which I sadly missed because I was hanging out on a beach in Costa Rica, gave us a ton more information on the Pseudo Exalted Reworks that will be happening in Techrot Encore to Khora, Gara, Ash, and Atlas. And we covered Ash's touch-up yesterday, linked in the description, so let's talk about what's happening to the rest. And tomorrow we'll go more into the changes that are happening to regular Exalted weapons. This is going to be a longer short today, so sit tight, it's all very important for you to know. First up, these frames will now have separate moddable weapon just like other Exalted weapons for their abilities instead of using the melee weapons mods. This is huge for two reasons, the first being it'll be much clearer for newer players on how these abilities function and operate, and to get rid of the so-called requirement of using specific incarnons and riven mods to maximize the abilities. While you may not like it, any reduction to the barrier of entry to enjoying the game is always a win. On top of that, certain modding restrictions will be removed, like the amalgam mods, combo duration mods, and acolyte mods like weeping wounds are now available to be used on them. This is both for exalted weapons and the currently pseudo exalted weapons, just as a heads up, and will be a significant benefit to them both. Now, one downside is there's going to be some restrictions on set mods like the Gladiator set, where if your regular melee weapon has them equipped, they'll no longer affect the pseudo exalted, but only for the ones on the melee weapon. Anything on your frame will still work. There's also a major change to how combo counter bonus damage will be affecting the pseudo exalted, which simply means that these abilities will be getting more damage from having a higher combo. Along with this, Narman's combo counter decay will affect these abilities, and as we mentioned, you can now mod them for combo duration. Now, Ash, Atlas, and Khora will have a 1-second combo duration, but due to limitations with Gara's Shattered Lash, she'll be getting a 5-second duration. All these abilities will have a 2.8 meter range, which will scale with ability range on your Warframe. Just like all other Exalted weapons, the patch will also let Pseudo Exalted weapons equip melee arcanes like Melee Influence. And since they aren't totally melee weapons, they won't be getting Exila slots as they can't do heavy attacks or tennocreate, which makes sense. Oh, and all of them will come with an Orcan Catalyst pre-installed, so you don't need to worry about that. But what's happening to those other three abilities specifically? Atlas's Landslide is getting a major buff to its critical and status chance, from 5% each to 35% and 15% respectively. Gara's Shattered Lash will now have a 20% critical chance, 2 times crit multi, and 30% status chance. Lastly, Khora's Whipclaw and Gara's Shattered Lash will both see a base damage reduction, but before you panic, they'll still be putting out good damage as they'll be scaling with strength and the previous mentioned combo counter buff. Overall, these are really significant changes to how pseudo-exalted weapons work in the game, and will make these frames much easier to get into and use for all players, even if your God Roll Rivens can't be used on them anymore. What do you think about these changes, and who are you excited to try? Let me know in the comments, and as always, sub for more tips and swing by my Twitch if you need any help.